It's a slow day. We're out picking blackberries and talking about family and the garden. Well, hey y'all, and welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I'm Susan, your hostess. And y'all, I'm sweating. It's hot out, it's humid. We're expecting more rain. But I wanted to let you know that this is the Resourceful Homestead Edition. And we're out in Tennessee Elmina's kitchen, which is my maternal great grandmother. And I loved the name Tennessee Elmina. And she is my direct descendant from the Nansemond tribe. Goes back about 5 generations. She was the fourth generation, I'm the fifth. So, anyway, I do have a little bit of Native American heritage. And I am super, super excited to have found that. We've been out in our garden this morning, well, out in the blackberry bushes. I'm going to grab a bowl and show you what I've got in here. So let me do that real quick. It doesn't look like much, but I have wild blackberries on my property. Of course, they are. They have the thorns, and then we have the domestic blackberries, which are much bigger. The bigger ones are tartar, the smaller ones are sweeter. And we also picked up this little miniature tomato plant at the Amish. I actually paid $10 for it. And these are quite tasty. So I try to collect them off before they split, but with the weather we're having, they're going to split. And I need to be out in my garden picking greens. I'm out here fiddling with a house plant. This house plant is actually 30 years old, y'all. It looks a hot mess right now because I moved it outside and I made the mistake of setting it in direct sunlight. And some of my leaves uh, got burnt. And so I'm removing those leaves to try to get this plant to bounce back. It was given to me at age 20, so I've had it for at least 10 years. It is a house plant, and we call this devil's ivy. I don't know the real name of it, but that's what I've always called it, um, because it's got little things sticking out like little horns, and that's actually where the root system will start. If you just stick that in the ground, it'll start rooting. I've taken bobby pins and just stuck it in plants, and I pulled one off. I'm going to put that in some water here in a minute. But I want to try to get some of this dead stuff off here because I want to give this plant every opportunity to thrive and survive. Now, we get sunlight in the morning. East is that way, west is this way. So in the evening, this plant is going to get some sunlight where it's at. I really don't have any shade areas other than underneath my maple trees. And I really want the plant over here, but I may have to move it. So you may not see it in the future over here. We picked a few blackberries, not many, but I'm going to do a little bit of an ASMR at the end of this video just so you can see me out there working on the blackberries. And y'all, we're going to have a bumper crop this year. I'm seeing probably 2 or 3 gallons of blackberries on my bushes right now. And the wild blackberries are really overproducing. We had a blackberry winter this year, and I think that just really makes these things go. And we're actually going to have to dig up. We've got a lot of shoots off of our blackberry bushes this year. We're going to have to dig up and move some of them. And I'm trying to get our fence line covered in blackberries. One, to kind of hide our backyard from prying eyes, and two, it's a perfect place to grow your fruit. It's on your fence line. So you may see me over the next few weeks picking blackberries quite a bit because they are coming in hot and heavy. They are big and red and ready to turn, so I'm excited about that. Blackberries is one of my fondest memories of childhood. We had the wild blackberries in our backyard. Of course, they were bigger than the ones we have here, but they were thorny, and you would get chiggers if you went out there, and you had to watch for snakes, um, hence the boots. But it was a lot of fun for me as a child to go out there with my mother and pick them. When I first discovered them, I was about 4 years old, and I brought some into my mother and said, "Can I eat these?" And she went out to see where I found them at, and she went back there and cleaned out all the brush that was around our blackberries. And we had blackberry jam and fresh blackberries in the summertime. We had a wild grapevine there. We had a sour apple tree um, that we ate fruit from, and we also had figs in our yard. And that was on a little 1/3 acre lot down in Memphis. So, yes, you can grow in small spaces. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, we had grown a pea or something in a Dixie cup, and I brought that home, and I went outside and I planted it, and then I went in the house and I found some popcorn and I planted that, and I think I stuck a potato in the ground or something, and my mother came out and she says, "What is this?" She realized we had fertile land. We had corn on the cob um, from the popcorn. We let it dry and had popcorn, and we had fresh dug potatoes, and the little pea plant produced. And we went out there the next spring, and she hand dug the entire backyard um, as much as she could. It was a great big area, and we pulled weeds, and we got out there and we planted. And I really, that was my real first experiences with gardening. And it's such a fond memory of me and my mom out there working side by side. And I would go out there and I would pick radishes straight out of the dirt, dust them off, and pop them in my mouth. I wasn't even thinking about germs or anything else. I was thinking about that nice little radish I was fixing to eat. Of course, she taught me how to rinse everything off before I popped it in my mouth. I've got a hummingbird out here flying around. Um, but it was a fun time as a child. There are so many memories that we have, y'all, that we need to share with the younger generation because they're growing up without knowing how to pick a blackberry or pick asparagus. We had wild asparagus in our backyard too that I found, and she was excited to get that. We had poke salad, and I remember her going out and picking poke salad leaves and boiling the heck out of them 2 or 3 times. And then she would scramble eggs and put in there with some butter, and it was the best tasting thing you ever put in your mouth. It's very akin to spinach, but it's got a milder flavor. I still remember that. Um, and so foraging in our backyard. Of course, mother never dug mushrooms, but I met a lady up in New York that was Italian, and she was out there digging one day. She was digging up mushrooms. And so I went over and I asked her, I said, "How do you know that these are edible?" And she says, "If you see worms around the mushrooms, you can eat them. If you don't see worms, do not eat them. They're poisonous." So that was my little tip. But I still, to this day, am afraid to go out and forage wild mushrooms. I may get there one day, I don't know. I like watching people that do, and I like looking at all the different varieties of mushrooms out there. And we have a few mushrooms that pop up in our yard, but I never have tried to eat those. So it's one of the foods that I do like to eat, um, and it's good for you, but I have never really foraged them. But I did watch that lady forage for mushrooms. It was fun. And I was a young mom at that time. I had babies, and I had babies in diapers, and we used cloth diapers because they were allergic to all the um, artificial, disposable diapers that are on store shelves. And so I used the old cloth diapers on my children. A lot of information today. It is a laid back day. We are filming on a Wednesday for Friday. And y'all, I have no idea what we're going to do next week, but the Lord always brings something to us. I do know that we had a sink that we had purchased over Amazon, and I'm in talks with the seller right now to get it returned and get it refunded because it came in and the bottom shelf was bent. And when I looked at the quality of it, it's supposed to be stainless steel, but it's a very weak stainless steel, very thin. I don't think it's going to last, and I told my husband we need to ship it back. So they first sent me a label, and this is the story, folks. They first sent me a label that um, I would have to pay for shipping. Now this thing weighs right at 40 pounds, and I'm like, I'm not paying for shipping for something that's damaged, arrived damaged. Now the box was fine, but it was the actual shelf inside the box. And of course, the buyer's trying to blame it on FedEx for, you know, throwing it around and bumping it and everything. But the truth of it is, it's just a very poor quality merchandise, and I don't want it. So they're trying to tell me that they're going to send, instead of sending me the money back, they want to send me another unit. And I'm like, no, I want a refund, and I want the shipping label, paid shipping label. So we'll see what happens with that. But of course, Amazon has already um, started the talks because all the shipper did was send me that label, no talks. And if I'm not satisfied, they will reimburse me the money and I will ship it back to Amazon. But Amazon also did me something else that I wasn't expecting. They gave me a gift card for $20. So I'm really, really pleased with Amazon right now. Okay, I guess I need to get off here. Y'all, have a wonderful weekend. Be blessed and a blessing, and stay to the end because you're going to see me picking blackberries with a little bit of background music.